Waycross presents an election forum. For Winton Woods City Schools Board of Education, there are 4 candidates running for 3 seats. They are, in alphabetical order, Jeff Birdie, Viola E. Johnson, Jessica E. Miranda, and Stephen Richburg.
Good evening, and welcome to Waycross Election Forums for the Winton Woods City School District's Board of Education. I'm Jason Grisgoric, your host and moderator for the evening, and I'm very fortunate to have 3 of the 4 candidates joining us this evening. They are starting alphabetically as we stated, Mr. Bertie, Dr. Johnson, Ms. Miranda, and of course, we did have a 4th candidate, Mr. Richburg. He did supply us with an opening statement, and we will get to that when his time is here. So I will open our forums to begin with tonight with a 2-minute opening statement, starting with Mr. Bertie. Mr. Bertie, 2 minutes to you.
Thank you. Good evening. Again, my name is Jeff Birdie, and I am a long-term resident of this school district. My parents moved here when I was 2 years old, and I've been here for over 50 years. My wife and I currently live in Green Hills. We've had 2 sons who have also gone through the Winton Woods School District and are now fortunate enough to have a grandson who is in the preschool in Winton Woods. And I hope that people realize that if I didn't have the faith and confidence in the educational system that we've got here in the Winton Woods School District, I wouldn't be having my own children in this school district. As far as my background, I am an accountant by training, graduated the University of Cincinnati with a bachelor's degree in accounting, CPA license, which is currently inactive. I'm semi-retired. I am self-employed and do some accounting work on my own, but I currently serve on the Winton Woods School Board, the Great Oak School Board, and I do volunteer work through my church. Again, I believe in public education. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. I think this is the foundation for success for our children and our community as we move forward. And this is one of the things we're responsible for providing to our children in this community is a solid public education.
All right. Dr. Johnson.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. My name is Dr. Viola Johnson, and I'm currently a member of the Winton Woods City School Board, and I'm seeking re-election. For the past 4 years, I've served as a member of the Winton Woods City School Board and have had the privilege of being instrumental in executing several significant changes in the district. 4 years ago, I campaigned on the promise I would fight for the district policies and improve academic quality, encourage community engagement, and establish financial stability for years to come. I joined the board with one of my other colleagues, and I used my time to fulfill those promises. You voted for progress. We implemented all-day kindergarten and preschool. You voted for academic quality. We raised the GPAs for student athletes. You voted for financial security, and we successfully secured millions of dollars from the state through the Ohio School Facilities Construction Commission to build new schools for the entire district. I would like the opportunity to continue the work that for future generations for students of the Winton Woods City School District. I am an advocate of public education and believe that it is a foundation upon which our children will build success. I myself went to through a public institution. As an educator, an active volunteer, a longtime resident, I understand that higher academic education and expectations and curriculum enhancements have a direct impact on improved student performance. Thank you.
Wonderful. Ms. Miranda, 2 minutes to you as well.
Good evening. Thank you, Jason, and the entire Waycross team for giving us the opportunity to be here tonight. We greatly appreciate this. My name is Jessica Miranda, and I am running to continue to be your leader on the Winton Woods Board of Education. I have spent the last 4 years watching, learning, listening, and implementing. One thing is certain about the 3 of us up here this evening for re-election, that is that we have momentum leading this school district. I hope I have proven to you that our school district and our communities are worth it. Our students, our staff, our administration work so hard every day in this ever-changing public education climate. I am a staunch supporter of public education, product of public education myself, and my children do attend the Winton Woods City School District, and we're very proud warriors your family. I am a homeowner and business owner here in the city of Forest Park. I have been your voice pushing for quality academics, innovation across our entire school district, and expanding opportunities for our students. I ask for your vote to elect me to serve you on our school board so that we can continue moving forward for our students and our communities to ensure Winton Woods is the destination district of Southwest Ohio.
Thank you very much. And as I said earlier, Mr. Richmond has already supplied us with a 2-minute opening statement. Unfortunately, he was unable to attend this evening. So, without ado, we do give him his opportunity to speak for 2 minutes to you.
Hello, my name is Stephen Richburg, and I'm running for Winton Woods City School Board. I've been in this district for about 45 years. I was a student at Forest Park High School. When I went to Miami University, got my undergraduate from Miami University and my master's at Miami University in math education. I came back and taught in the district for 17 years. I'm currently a math instructor at Cincinnati State Technical and Community College. I've watched the district deteriorate over the past 23, 24 years, and I want to make change. I think that our students in Forest Park, Green Hills, and Springfield Township need a strong curriculum. We need to get test scores up. We need to have a safe environment for our students. We need a strong school again. When I was at Forest Park, I remember how Forest Park, how the academics were very strong, and I want to get it back to that. I remember when I first started teaching at Winton Woods 23 years ago, the academics were very strong. I want to get it back to that. If you can vote for me for a school board, Winton Woods City School Board, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
And I want to apologize, I did mispronounce his name. It was Richburg, not Richmond. And being a person who has a name that most people can't pronounce, I do sincerely apologize. With that, the opening statements are complete, and now it is up to you, the voting audience at home. We will be opening the emails this evening for all questions. That's live@waycross.org. Please ask all questions in a broad sense, no pointed questions. And we will answer every question this evening. I will start with my first question, though, going to Dr. Johnson. It's going to be a very simple one, but yet it's a pointed one, especially for the district. What does it take to be a warrior?
Wow. What does it take to be a warrior? You know, when we joined the school board 4 years ago, when I joined 4 years ago, we were working toward branding, and we've been working toward branding and making the warrior name what it was in the past, what it is now, and what it will be in the future. What does it take to be a warrior? I think it takes pride, it takes power, it takes integrity, it takes the community, the stakeholders, everyone being involved, and there's no substitute for getting your hands dirty and saying, I am part of this process. So what does it take to be a warrior? I'm going to say just pride in who you are, what the district can stand for, what we can do, for the district, and just moving forward in that way.
Ms. Miranda, same question.
Okay. To be a warrior, I think it takes tenacity. It takes strength, it takes courage. I look at my students who attend Winton Woods and all of our students and our staff every day, and I think for the first time in a long time, the community and our constituents and all of our stakeholders here in the district are proud to be Winton Woods warriors. And I think a lot of what we have accomplished over the past 4 years is a real tribute to that. So the pride that we have in our community, our students, no matter what their obstacles are, they keep pushing forward because they are our warriors. So it's very proud for me to see all of our students and our staff, how they push every day, no matter what the state throws at us, no matter what the community's throwing at us. We keep moving forward. We keep doing what's right and what's best for our students and our communities every day.
And Mr. Bertie, round off the question.
I'll probably echo some of the same comments my colleagues made. I think it's pride, commitment, determination, the willingness to do the hard things, the things that are correct, that are right for all of our students. You know, as the students of Winton Woods, you know, they are the warriors, and you know, we try to exemplify that from academic standards, higher expectations for what we want from our students, and I think that's what it means to be a warrior.
Okay. Ms. Miranda, you have actually all three of you have been on the board and seen the implementation of new technology or project-based learning. This is something that has fully been implemented now in the district for all grade levels. What does it mean to have new tech a part of the warrior nation, so to speak, and how is it a success for the district?
So what that means is New Tech Network is a culmination of project-based and problem-based learning that we have implemented through the entire district, pre-K through 12th grade. And just a shameless plug, project presentations are coming up all of the rest of this year, so please contact us and come out and see the great work our students are doing. I was a little apprehensive at first for this entire curriculum change for our school district, but our superintendent took us to many different schools. I'll never forget our trip that we took to Gary, Indiana, and we visited some schools out there that were doing project-based learning, and that was when it clicked for me. We walked around through each classroom and saw the students presenting their projects in such a way that they were not afraid to speak to strangers. They weren't afraid to speak in front of their classmates. It was, you know, the confidence that this type of curriculum instills in our kids is going to be something that's going to help them throughout the rest of their life, no matter what they choose to do. If it's college, career, vocational, whatever they choose to do, they're going to have this foundation, this base to set them up for what's best for them and what they're going to do to ensure they achieve at their highest potential. So some really great things are happening with that in our school district. I encourage our community and everyone to come out and see it. I'm fortunate that I'm a warrior mom and I get to witness Warrior Nation in action almost every day. But those of you who don't have that opportunity or don't have kids in the district, please come out and see it. Project-based learning and problem-based learning is such an innovative new curriculum style that is really going to take us forward through this whole educational reform and making our public school district stronger.
Mr. Bertie, same question.
For the New Tech Network and the problem-based learning, I think that what it's done is it's taking our children to a different level. We sat at the convocation this year where we had students who were currently enrolled in the program at Winton Woods High School, and as well as some students who graduated and were now in college, and how they felt that this had helped them in their college career. And they have better critical thinking skills, better problem solving skills. They've done a multitude of presentations within their groups in the high school setting. They've had to collaborate with their other students and learn skills into how to communicate and how to get things done from a project standpoint. It's just, and the data shows that these students that go through this program are, you know, more likely to have a higher graduation rate. They have a higher persistence rate of staying in four-year college and two-year college programs. So I think that one of the things at one of the visioning meetings that we had with the school and the community, one of the questions that was asked at the end to community members that were there is, what did you think before you came to this meeting, and what do you now know to be true? And one of the Green Hills council members said that, well, when I got here, I thought high school students were afraid to speak in front of a group of adults. And what he found out was that we had students who gave presentations to a group of adults, community members, administration, and staff teachers that they see on a regular basis, and they did it in a very well done manner.
Dr. Johnson, same question.
Yeah, you know, Jason, the school district has met with many challenges, and it has taken a higher level of thinking in order to step outside of the box and say, okay, we can't do things the same way that we've always done them and expect different results. And so that's what, to me, new tech learning is. We're doing something a little bit different, which is the problem-based and the project-based learning, and we've rolled it out all the way down to the kindergarten. We have all-day kindergarten and all-day preschool, but we rolled rolled out the problem-based and the project-based learning and the new tech network all the way down. And I think the biggest and best example of how this whole thing worked is when we had the Night of Freedom. That was just so phenomenal to watch how all the students came together and put all of that emphasis in presenting the work that they had done, and how the music mixed with the art, mixed with the history, mixed with, and that's thinking on a broader level. That's what employers want. That's what people want, when you're talking to a young person, to actually be able to have them well-rounded and to have a conversation. So that's what new tech has brought to the district. And now, we're looking at this and saying, yes, it's going to make a difference in our test scores, because it's going to make a difference, hopefully, in the way they think. They're thinking broader. They're not thinking, the very static multiple choice questions type of thinking. So having this new tech base with the problem and the project-based learning, I see it as a step forward. I see it as a very positive thing for the future of the Winton Woods City School District, and moving us in the right direction.
Wonderful. We have seen the progression in the district quite heavily, starting with the Academy of Global Studies to the New Tech Network. All of these wonderful things starting, all of them with the underlying basis of culture. How important is it, you as a board, to entice new cultural awareness within the school district, and for that matter, Forest Park / Green Hill / Springfield Township, everywhere the Warrior Nation is, starting with you, Mr. Bertie?
One of the things we get the privilege of doing with our superintendent is he likes to give us books to read to help us get a better grasp on what he's working with, and how things affect him. And I think one of the books we just started reading is Dream Keepers, and it talks about the cultural issues affecting our students today. That a class that's predominantly African American, that you have to look at different ways of connecting with those students through different topics that you would in a traditional, all white classroom setting. So there are cultural issues that we need to address in the way that our curriculum is set up, and the way that the project-based learning projects are set up, and the things that we're trying to get our students to think about and to move forward with.
Yeah, Mr. Birdie is right. Superintendent Smith loves to give us books to read. He gave us two, and the other book that he gave us to read was Courageous Conversations About Race. And within the Winton Woods City School District, we have 26 languages within the school district. And what he's trying to do is to help us to educate ourselves. And by educating ourselves and equipping the staff and the teachers and the administrators and getting them ready to improve their cultural competencies, so that they can not just know the content. It's good to know content, but it's also good to be able to express that content effectively across all the cultures. So I think that as we move forward into the future with the district, I don't see that changing. I don't see it changing where, the number of languages or the number of different cultural students that we have will change. You don't pick who lives in a neighborhood, and those are the students that will be coming to the school. So those books and the training and the in-service time that we do to discuss those books, it begins to build the core values, the district core values of what we value as far as embracing the various cultures within the district.
And Ms. Miranda.
A couple things I think about when we talk about culture. Not only the obvious, and I'll piggyback off of Dr. Johnson a little bit, our school, our district is so diverse. Something we have, though, other than just diversity, is inclusion. If you have diversity without inclusion and a loving environment for your students, it sometimes doesn't work and it creates issues. I don't ever see those issues being created in our district. We have abundant opportunities and our students work so well together. They're getting such a quality education and experience with classmates whom they wouldn't have learned about their culture or where they come from had they not gone to Winton Woods. So I think that's hugely important. And another way I think about culture is kind of our leadership through our board seats, through the administration, our superintendent, our treasurer. Something that our wonderful high school principal says a lot is our students look different. If you go anywhere and you see a plethora of high school students, you'll be able to pick out the Winton Woods kids. That's because they have the warrior nation culture that sets them apart from every other student, and they're confident, they're courageous, and they have pride of their school district. And we have come a very long way from when we first got elected here in our first term, from where the culture was to where we have taken it as leaders of these communities, and it has been very, very fulfilling.
Wonderful. We have our first email of the evening. It's coming from Brandon Weirs, and I'm going to start that question with Dr. Johnson. It is a yes or no question, so you can all look at the question together collectively and ask because you are current board members. The question is, first and foremost, is it okay for board members to visit classrooms as observers?
I think yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Obviously, it seems like a very standard question. I'm going to follow that up and build off of that question. And again, this starts with you, Dr. Johnson. As members of the board, have you made a classroom observation? And what is the most amazing thing that you have seen that has either kept you on the board or has given you that thirst for more to continue?
Well, I do think it's okay for board members to observe classroom activities. I don't think it's okay for us to go in and try to change classroom activities. That's not our job. But going in and visiting, I've been invited to visit classrooms as with the project-based learning. They're always looking for people to come in and look at the projects and listen to the presentations, but also in the development of those projects, like just watching the kids work together, the students work together. So, when I go, it's very refreshing to see how the students interact, because I've had 4 graduates now. When I was running previously, I had 3 graduates and 1 on the way, but now I've had 4 graduates from the district, and the way they learned was a lot different. Each one of them learned very different, and I think that watching how these students interact and watching how the teachers interact with the students, it's very refreshing. So is it okay to visit? Absolutely. And did I learn anything? Absolutely. And am I excited about what's going forward in the future? Absolutely. So, I just think it's all good. Nothing but good can come from it.
Wonderful. Ms. Miranda.
Well, not only do I think it's okay for board members to observe, I think it's essential. We are charged with supporting our superintendent and our treasurer in what they think is best for the school district. And we have to research those things first before we decide to implement them. We don't want to just change curriculum and do things overnight on a whim. We really have taken the time to research this, travel across the country, do webinars and go-to meetings with folks from California to decide if this was the right fit for our district. And I really do think it is working and it is the right fit. Our students have come so far. The one presentation that I saw that will stick with me forever, mainly because this was not something I was learning about or talking about in high school, and this was projects in our high school where there was a group of young men who studied the rate of incarceration for African American males and how that correlates to prisons being built in certain communities. And just for that to, I wasn't learning that in high school. That wasn't something I got the privilege to learn about and discover till I got out on my own and graduated. These things are such amazing cultural things that I think it's important to build a character and build, the person that you're going to be in the future with that type of information. And again, another shameless plug, we have the Celebration of Nations happening at our elementary school soon, so I'm looking very, very forward to those. We've always had a Celebration of Nations program where our families from different cultures bring in food and their festivities and dancing and culture, but this time the teachers had an amazing idea and decided to tie in a project to the Celebration of Nations. They sent homework home for families to fill out questionnaires of, name a time when you felt like you were discriminated against and what that did to you and how you taught, that situation to your child and how you looked at it. And so I'm just looking forward to it. So join us, Elementary School Celebration of Nations.
Thank you for the shameless plug. And continuing forward, Mr. Birdie, same question.
In agreeing with my colleagues here, yes, absolutely, it should be okay for board members to go and visit and observe in classrooms. That's one of the ways you find out what's going on in an organization is by doing those types of things. I've had the pleasure of attending quite a few conversations with the superintendent where, I get to watch him actually interact with students in the school district, and the questions that he asks and the information that he is able to get these kids to come out and say, and the students are honest as far as their answers that they give. So it's refreshing to see that type of thing. I say absolutely, we should be allowed to go visit and observe into classrooms.
Great. All right, we are halfway through our program, so if you are enjoying the conversation and of course want to join in on that conversation, you can do so by sending us an email at live@waycross.org. That was your quick and easy way to get all questions asked of the candidates available this evening. Going forward, Ms. Miranda, we've talked about some wonderful things that the superintendent has done. It sounds like there's a lot of work involved in being a board member. However, as a board member, what do you feel would be the best homework for a board member, especially for one in the Winton School District?
Oh, well, I think, to touch on what we talked about earlier about the book studies that we do, it's very important to the current board that we have that we do a board retreat every year. And we have done that consistently since I've been on the board. Every time we organize a board retreat, we make sure that it is something that is not only relevant, but that is something that's going to make us think out of the box a little bit and keep pushing us forward with this momentum we have going here in the district to keep moving forward and implementing those changes and being proactive versus reactive, which I think, was a lot of my concern when I first ran for the board, and I know a lot of community members probably share that concern too. You always want to make sure that you're proactive versus reactive. That is why we did what we did with New Tech Network and project-based and problem-based learning, because we knew the score is not going to change overnight, and it certainly isn't going to change within 1, 2, 3, 4 years. We know that. It's not possible. You can't go from an F to an A overnight. It's a barge and it has to be turned around very slowly, and we will get there. I assure you we will get there, but it's going to take some time. So instead of sitting back and waiting for the inevitable to happen, we said we're going to be proactive. We're going to implement something that hasn't been done before in this area, in this state, and a lot of other neighboring states, and we're going to unleash it throughout the entire district. And so far, so good, and I hope we continue down this road with this momentum because the rewards have been very, very nourishing, and I think our community has an appetite for more.
Mr. Bertie, same question.
For me, as far as homework for the board, I think understanding what you've got within the school district, spending the time doing the book studies that Mr. Smith has asked us to do to learn about different ways of teaching students. I think being on the Great Oaks School Board as well as the Winton Woods School Board is giving me a perspective that what the Great Oaks does is somewhat similar to project-based learning. I mean, they've got hands-on training, vocational training for these students to become, very proficient at whatever career they want to go into. And I think, looking at those things, knowing something about, in this case, project-based learning, knowing things about the district as far as what's going on, I don't think the general public realizes how much work there really is, with a school board member. It's not just, hey, I show up to a meeting at 6:30 on Monday night and we're done by 8:30 and we go home. Typically there's, 3, 4, 5 hours of prep work prior to the meeting. There are, school events, like I said, conversations with the superintendent, other things that you need to go to. Right now I'm on a building design steering committee, that I participate in on a fairly regular basis. There's all kinds of things that as homework as a school board member you need to be involved in to be effective at what you're trying to do.
And Dr. Johnson, round us out.
Thank you, Jason. Homework for board members, it can mean so many things, but I think coming into as a new board member, maybe I didn't have the right picture, like what Mr. Birdie just said. It's more than just your Monday night meeting. And the prep that you need to do to get ready to be an effective board member, attending the OSBA board trainings for new board members. They have an A to Z checklist that you can go down and say, am I doing these things? If I'm not, what can I do to improve what it is I'm working on? As Mrs. Miranda said, the board retreats that we have, they're always very focused. We look at what we've done well, what we need to do better on, some of the things that we want to take on, challenges, and we usually will bat those around and have someone come in and speak to us about those, or we'll, like Mr. Smith always has a book, that he wants us to read, and it's open if we find a book that we want to bring to the table as well. We attend the OSBA conference just to kind of learn more about how to be an effective board, but the research that goes into the different aspects of the work, it's not an overnight type of thing. And it's not something that, you're just going to take and do and have it, ready in 5 minutes. It takes some time to learn the job and to learn it and to do it well. And all of that goes with preparation, self-preparation. You can't just walk in and say, oh, I'm a board member now, so now I've just got to get to sit at this meeting and get filmed once a month. It's so much more than that. And even being trained on how to approach teachers or to approach administrators and staff, understanding our role as a board is to create policies. We have 2 employees, the superintendent and the treasurer, and that's it. So having training in all those areas.
I've got yet another email coming in. The Weirs are asking yet another question, and it actually follows up with the next question I was going to, and this will be going to you, Mr. Bertie. The ODE report cards have shown declines for their numbers over the last 5 years. Are new tech network and project-based learning avenues to revise the trends? Starting with you, Mr. Bertie.
I would not characterize the ODE report card as totally going into a declining trend over the last 5 years. We have had some improvements on K through 3 literacy programs. We have a preschool program that's rated 5 stars with a step up to quality rating from the state of Ohio. There are things that are happening that are moving the education and the academic standards within this school district forward. Those are the things that I hold my hat on that we're doing well.
Dr. Johnson.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback on some of what Mr. Birdie just said, as I stated earlier, the district has met with many challenges, and we're trying to get out ahead of that curve. And Mrs. Miranda said it earlier, this is a barge that we're trying to turn around. The K through 3 literacy, our numbers did improve. If you look at the numbers, yes, they were low. The kindergarten went from a D to a low C, but it moved in the right direction. All of our numbers moved for the first grade, second grade, and the third grade, and overall the district moved in our overall K through 3 literacy, and that is our pipeline. That's the base. That's our foundation. And as we move those students through the district, when you look at the district report card, out of 609 schools in the state of Ohio, 490 of them made Fs. We are not alone in this fight. As an educator of over 30 years, if I teach a class and I have over 80% of the students fail that test, I've got to reevaluate something. I've got to reevaluate my presentation. I've got to reevaluate the test. There's something that has to change about the process. So when you're looking at the state and looking at the report card, if we have 609 schools and 490 of them made Fs, something's wrong with the test, not the tester. So, but in all of that, Winton Woods still made progress. Our scores went up. Maybe we stayed in the same range, the D range, but it was a higher D than what it was before. So.
And Ms. Miranda.
Yeah, and again, just to piggyback and then go back to the question first. So yes, I would say in a nutshell, the PBL and the PRBL are things that we proactively did, again, proactively, because we knew this was going to be a huge factor for us, our district, right? You can't turn a barge around overnight, I've said it before. But if you dive deeper into that report card, instead of just looking at that cover page, I beg of you, dive deeper into that report card, and you will actually see we have have made gains. It could be a percentage point, it could be more than a percentage point, but we made gains almost everywhere on that report card. And I think that's the biggest, positive thing to look at, those D's and those F's glaring you in the face. But even so, we have made progress. So if you're continually making gains, that means you're doing something right. And we hope, to keep turning this barge around and keep going and keep going. And not just the New Tech Network. There are several things that we have implemented and we've done to build our pipeline to make it possible for us to get the kind of numbers we got in our third grade reading guarantee, right? All-day preschool, all-day kindergarten,
Yes.
with 5-star preschool for the step up to quality. I mean, those things are huge. People might not, realize the heaviness of those things, but those things are huge. And the early childhood education is where it starts. You have to start and build that pipeline and hope to God you can keep those students throughout their senior year, and then you really start to see how this school district is going to be turned around, and the scores will just keep getting better and better from here.
Great. Dr. Johnson, we're going to start the next question with you. I have a few emails that I'm going to condense into one that are all asking pretty much the same question. Are the new buildings the answer to what we're looking for in the district? And will it be a place not just for the Winton Woods School District, but the district as a whole, being Forest Park, Springfield Township, Green Hills, and the outlying areas? Starting with you, Dr. Johnson.
I can't say that buildings will be the answer for academics. We still have to move forward in academically to make sure that we're putting the right things in place so that the buildings will be affected by that. In other words, of course, the new buildings that we're going to get built are going to be built around the new tech model. So then it's going to be more, the education that the students will get in that building will be enhanced because it'll be built to be conducive to learning in that environment. Now, the buildings alone by themselves, can it do it? Not necessarily. Even the space that we're in now, we're still doing new tech in the space that we have now. But the new buildings will make a difference, I believe, to moving in the right direction because they're going to be built around, enhancing that learning environment. Buildings alone, I mean, they say if you build them, they will come. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that actually happens. Will that bring people to the district because there is a new building? We'll see. But what we always want to keep in the forefront is academics. We want to always make sure that we're checking and making sure that there's checks and balances in place that increase the expectation and how the students are learning. And that's always going to be a factor in the old buildings or the new buildings. It's not just the building that's going to educate the kids. It's the information that they're sharing with each other and the quality of education that they're getting. So,
Ms. Miranda?
So are the new buildings the answer? I wish it were that easy, right? I wish public education and education in general were that easy. They are a factor of our answer here for Winton Woods, but I do wholeheartedly believe that they are the answer for our communities. I think these buildings, I'm so excited about these, so forgive me for my overall emotions, but I am so excited about these buildings. As a homeowner and a business owner here in the community, these buildings are going to be massive. They're going to be precisely designed and tailored to the new curriculum that we have created here in the school district, which is New Tech Network and problem-based and project-based learning. So not only do we want this to be a factor of our turnaround here at Winton Woods, but we want the community to come in. We do not have the luxury of having things like a community rec center. We no longer have an activity center. We don't have that luxury here in these communities, but these school buildings have the opportunity to be that for our community. We want the stakeholders to come in and be a part of what's happening here in Winton Woods. We need you to do that. We want you to come and see the projects. We want you to come and see how our kids and our teachers are, implementing all these proactive things we are doing and how that really is changing the culture and our community for the better. And I think once they're finally here and they're built and they're massive and they're beautiful, it's just going to be so exciting and our community is really going to love it.
All right. And Mr. Bertie?
Are the new buildings the answer? And that's no. I mean, the new buildings aren't the only answer to this question, and the old buildings weren't the answer either. I think one of the things people need to remember about the old buildings versus the new buildings, when we got the amount of contribution that we did from the state through the OFCC program, it made economic sense for us to do new buildings. If we had kept the old buildings, we were going to spend money out of our general fund for repairs and maintenance that was going to take away from our ability to use it for educational programs for our students. This just, it makes sense. The new buildings will allow us to have the opportunity to do more things for our students. Part of the discussion in the Building Design Steering Committee meetings is how do we bring the community into these buildings? So there are discussions of how can we set these buildings up where they will be inviting to the community, that we can have some community presence in the buildings at different times. You know, maybe not during the school day while the kids are there, at least there would have to be some segregation from a security standpoint, but how do we utilize these buildings to enhance the community that we live in?
All right. Ms. Miranda, you brought this up, and many of you have touched on it, but I've heard it most loudly from you, and that is about collaboration. You're seeking that information from others. How important is collaboration to the board, and is it a tool that is obviously being utilized in the district currently?
Oh, sure. I mean, as far as how important it is, it's one of the most important things, I think, from my seat, in order for us to do anything well here in our community. Everyone has to be working together, all active stakeholders, in order to do something like what we are trying to conquer here in the Winton Woods School District. We have done so many things as far as, you know, how we bring the community in, the visioning sessions that we did, the luncheons that we do, our partners breakfast. We try very, very hard, and we make a very diligent effort to make sure everyone is involved in everything that we do in Winton Woods. We always have an open door policy. Anytime the community needs us, we're here, we're transparent, we want to be, we're accountable to you, you are our constituents, and we always want to be collaborating with various stakeholders to make sure we are doing the right thing for our students and our staff and our communities. I think, you know, that really is how the new buildings were born, that collaboration. We went out into each of the three of our communities and said, you know, this is the option we have on the table. What do you think is the best thing to do from here? And that's why we chose to put that initiative on the ballot, and I'm very happy that it passed, because this is one of a kind. This is something, you know, that our community has never embarked in, and I just think the gains that are going to come out of this is going to be phenomenal, and we're going to see a very, very strong community with a very, very strong district, because you have to have those hand in hand together.
Mr. Bertie.
I'm going to probably echo a lot of what Mrs. Miranda just said. You know, collaboration is huge. We need parents, we need business leaders, we need government leaders from the three different municipalities that we serve. It's important to have that collaboration. It's important to have that input from those constituents. We're all in this together. We all have the same goal, I think, to make this the best school district that we can possibly make it. I know, as Mr. Smith likes to say, you know, it's very difficult to see a quality school in a bad community, and it's hard to have, you know, a bad community have a quality school, or a bad school in a quality, you know, community. And so we got to make sure that we're looking at both of those issues and trying to bring us all up at the same level.
And Dr. Johnson.
Yeah, and they both kind of hit a home run there, but I just want to add that while I've been on the board, I've been in support of the hiring of a community engagement coordinator, and her role has been to go out and seek input from stakeholders, business owners, people within the community. It's very important because we all have a stake in, you know, having good schools because of tax dollars, because of what community building occurs around good school districts. And our goal is to create the preferred go-to district. Increasing that communication, we've done a lot of things as far as community engagement and trying to bring the community in from the state of the schools that Mr. Smith does at the beginning of the school year, at the end of the school year, with you know, offering the open houses and the round tables, inviting the community in to look at the schools even prior to to tours of the schools, actually prior to you know, getting the previously bond passed. The school district has to continue to take the opportunities to connect with businesses and nonprofit organizations to get more volunteers. And Mrs. Denny, who is our community engagement coordinator, has an avenue where people can go in and fill out a kind of an e-form to say, this is where my skill is and this is how I want to, give back to the community and give back to the school district. So we encourage people to do that, get in contact with her, find out how you can volunteer. But it's very, very important that we keep our hand on the pulse of the community and invite them in so that we can continue to do for them what they need us to do as a district.
All right. We're getting close to the bottom of our time, so I'm going to ask a few more questions, and they will be of shorter time. And I'll start with Mr. Birdie here next. We've heard Mr. Smith's name mentioned, all in good terms for a number of answers here. How important is the communication and the connection between you as board members and the superintendent? Starting with you, Mr. Birdie.
I think it's vitally important because we have to know what he's thinking and what his ideas are to improve the school district. The project-based learning and wanting to expand that to all students, not just a section of students through the Academy of Global Studies. He was a huge proponent of doing that, and it made the most sense to all of us who are currently on the board that we should do that. He is the leader. He's the voice out there setting the tone for all the administrative staff, which then sets the tone for the teachers and the other staff that's out there in our schools. So he's the one that sets the culture, that trust, respect, responsibility. Those are the things that we want and expect from our staff and from our students.
Dr. Johnson.
Yes, Superintendent Smith is a strong leader, and he's also a very good manager. And he requires high standards for the administrators and the teachers who work for him in the district. And as a board, we have to, we encourage that as well. And he works with us, and it is important for us to have a good working relationship with him. It's not enough just to be a leader or just to be a manager. Good managers are also effective leaders. Effective managers are effective leaders, and effective leaders are effective managers. So it goes hand in hand. So whereas the board comes together and we're trying to lead the district, we have, him to look at and say, okay, we need to, use your leadership skills to, go out to the administrators and to the staff.
And Ms. Miranda.
I think a simple answer to that question, Jason, kind of goes back to one you asked earlier regarding collaboration. We have had a very, very good job, done a very good job collaborating with our superintendent and our treasurer. Without that, we wouldn't be able to lead by example like we do and implement these types of things and be proactive and be those faces and those voices out in the community to say, hey, I think this is the right thing to do, and we're all coming together to do this and benefit from this and have our students, exceed at levels that, might not be typical for this school district. But we're willing to go out there, work together, and make sure that this is done so that the end goal that we have in sight is near and that we can get to that together. Because if you have, internal turmoil, it's going to be very, very hard to get to that goal. So our attitudes are different. We lead by example, and that's how we can collaborate well together.
All right. Dr. Johnson, you're going to be actually the last question before we open to closing statements. And it's always the pointed one. Were you to be elected onto the board in November 7th? What's next?
When I think of being elected to the board, I could think of me continuing the work that we've already started. So we started all-day kindergarten. We started all-day preschool. We're looking at the K through 3 literacy. All of those things we're going to continue to pour into academics, pour into the ACT prep test for our high schoolers who are eligible, continue with the athletic GPAs. So all of those things build in, continuing with New Tech Network across the district. So all of those things are building into building a stronger district, moving the district forward in the right direction. And I would just hope that I can continue to be a part of that and make that happen. We started it. I like to see it finished. I would like to see the end of that. So I think just moving the district forward and making sure that we do what we can to continue the bright future that Winton Woods City Schools is growing to become and keeping it in the right direction.
Ms. Miranda?
Yeah, I mean, to answer that question pretty bluntly, I've never stopped, right? This is so much more than what anyone ever tells you it is, being a board member, right? So we will never stop. We keep moving. We're constantly building. We're constantly implementing. We're making sure our students, our staff, our community has what it needs in order for us to build this school district back to the level that we know it can be. And that, too, includes the community. We need the community to come in. We need the community's voice. We need you to help. We need you to, grab hands and us all be in this together and do this together. So if I have the opportunity to get reelected to the Winton Woods School Board, I'm never going to stop. I'm just going to keep moving like we always have been and keep moving forward.
And Mr. Birdie?
If I get elected to the school board again in November, in my mind, it's not so much what's next, it's what's still there to be done. It's still the academics have got to be at the top of our list of things that we've got to accomplish. We look at the ODE reports, and none of us are thrilled with the numbers that are there, but we do see progress. We do think that there are things in the district that are going on that are moving us in the right direction. It's going to take a while to get there, but that's what we got to keep focused on. The buildings could become a distraction, but we can't allow that to happen. We have to continue to make sure that the buildings get done the way they should be done, with integrity, within budget, and do the things that we want them to do. And then on the flip side of that, we still got to push for the higher expectations on the academic side and make sure that we're serving the community the way we should.
All right. Which now leads us to, of course, saying thank you so much. Of course, I want to thank you for all of the questions and adding to the enjoyment that we have here this evening, which now gives us the opportunity to have a 30-second closing statement. I want to make sure everybody gets one, starting with Ms. Miranda.
Okay, great. Again, thank you, Jason. Thank you to the entire Waycross team here tonight for having us. This is a joy every time for us to be able to talk to our community in this fashion. Again, the three of us up here, we have a different attitude. We have been working together for the past few years, and we know where it is that we want to be. We have a very clear vision of where it is that we want to be, and we have the attitude to get it there. So I want you to vote for 3 and keep us here, moving forward, implementing, and being those proactive leaders that you can count on.
Perfect. Mr. Birdie, same to you.
Yeah, to echo a lot of what Jessica said, thank you for having us here. We just need to keep doing the work. I mean, we don't always agree on every issue, but at the end of the day, we ask ourselves the question, what's in the best interest of the students that we're serving? What's in the best interest of the community that we serve? And what is the right thing for us to do? And I think you have 3 board members here that always come back to those things and are willing to make difficult decisions and do what's right.
And Dr. Johnson.
Again, thank you for this opportunity, and we shared a lot of thoughts tonight. I just want to say this district is my home. You guys are my neighbors, you're my friends, you're my family, and the only promise I have to you is that I'm ready and willing to continue to work hard for this district to make strides toward a better tomorrow. We've shared a lot of thoughts. The bottom line is our children, our community, our future deserves to be educated with great schools, and when you go to the polls on November the 7th, please cast your vote for the 3 people you see sitting here at this table.
Wonderful. Thank you again for your time and the service that you have given us as well. I'd also like to thank you as well for joining us. For those who were able to email in questions, I thank you. And for those who are watching this in a replay, thank you for doing your democratic process and learning what's important to you in the district. If you need more information in regards to the upcoming election, you can go to boe.hamilton-co.org. That is the Hamilton County Board of Elections website. There you can get more information in regards to the candidates and issues that are affecting you currently. You can also watch our election forums as they continue to populate on our website, as well as here on Government Access. I'd like to thank my crew and everyone here that has been able to help us get the information out to you. And now it is your turn to take the information that you've been given this evening and make the informed decision and vote responsibly on November 7th. Thank you, and have a great evening.
Waycross takes no position on candidates or issues. We conduct these forums so that our viewers may be better informed voters for the November 7th election.